Fans, we are back live with another edition of the Great North Wrestling Podcast. My name is Jack Kilby, Executive Vice President of Great North Wrestling, and I'm very pleased tonight to welcome a man who I'm sure every WCW fan from the golden era of WCW will recognize and appreciate his work. I'm talking about none other than legendary Powerplant trainer, wrestler, Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker, Dwayne Bruce. Mr. Bruce, thank you for coming on tonight, sir.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
A lot of the fans are interested in the backgrounds of the wrestlers that we grew up following and admired. And a good place to start, I find, is asking about you personally growing up. Were you a fan of the business? And if so, what territories did you follow?
Actually, my grandfather got me watching wrestling. It was Georgia Championship Wrestling with Gordon Soley. We got to watching that, and we went. They ran two shows on Sunday night. They ran Sunday. They ran Griffin, Georgia, and then that night they ran the Omni. So yeah, and I was fortunate enough to get to wrestle in the Omni. So yeah, that's how I got started. My grandfather.
Was there ever a moment that you decided that you wanted to pursue wrestling as a career, or did you just sort of organically fall into it?
Well, I'll tell you a long story. Not a long story, but I'll have to make it short. Uh, I wanted to get in the business after I've been watching for quite a while, and I've always been in the gym and doing things even now. But uh, what happened was I went down to TV taping down in where it was just in the studio at TBS, and then we went to the bar where everybody hang out after that, and I went up to Ole Anderson. Everybody don't like to talk good about Ole, but I'm gonna have to give him a plug here. He I went up to him and I said, "Sir, somebody smarten me up how to talk." You know, I don't want to be a professional wrestler. I want to learn how to be a professional wrestler. There's a difference to the old timers, so and which I am now. But he goes, "Huh? Well, have something. You go over here, hit Hawk in the back of the head, and we'll talk after that." I said, "Beg your pardon, sir. I'm not that stupid." He goes, "Oh, shit." He pulled out a napkin, bar napkin, and wrote the number on there, and I thought I was going to ring it out on its shell or something down the road. So I called that on Monday morning, believe it or not. And the lady answered, said, "Hey, I'm Dwayne Bruce. I'm trying to get a hold of Ole Anderson about training." And she goes, "Well, he kind of been expecting a call." I was like, "Expected by call? Who the hell am I? Nobody." But he goes, "You need to go two places, either Ted Oates Gym in Columbus or go to Jody Hamilton School in Lovejoy." And I lived in Jonesboro. So, of course, I went to Lovejoy. And I walked in that first night and I said, I want to watch, see what goes on, and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, Jody tried to give me a sales deal after that. But I saw all the squats they were doing and all the other stuff. So I had already been working out, but I adapted that to my workouts and stuff. So when I went down to try out, I was ready to go. So that's how I got professional wrestling. Ole Anderson sent me to Jody Hamilton School, and Nick Patrick had a lot to do with it. Nick, when he blew his leg out and down for Bill Watts, he drove back and actually he trained me on like one leg. But he
Wow.
taught me a lot about psychology and what to do something, when and why, and when not to do something, and different stuff. So I mean, there's different points in the wrestling thing. Of course, I'm a heel. Okay, don't mean I can't wrestle. I
Mhm.
show I can wrestle. He out wrestles me, gets behind me. I kind of out wrestle. I can't go to the ropes. Gives me what? Chance to cheat behind the referee's back. And
Mhm.
that's what wrestling was based on. And if you're looking at the TV screen and you're looking for the rock and roll to kick my ass all over the arena and they're doing their job and everybody's on their feet, then we did our job. So,
Mhm.
and I usually don't talk that way, but I want everybody to understand where that part of the wrestling came from.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get to your tenure in the power plant in a bit, but was
Sure.
the physicality aspect of the old school training, was that something that you experienced as well, in addition to psychology? And did you take those elements and incorporate it when you became a trainer?
Exactly. Yes, I took them aspects. I did all that stuff when I was training. Uh, and unfortunately, I wrestled for Jody for like 3 years before I made it to NWA. Uh, and then, yeah, I took them aspects to my training because it worked. I mean, and uh, and I what people don't understand, I did all the squats with everybody. I did everything with everybody. So I mean, people fuss. Different people fuss about the training aspect, but if I did everything with you, I'm showing you by example. I'm not just preaching it. I am showing you by example. So anybody had fussed about it, I could name a few people, but I'm not going to. That fussed about it and didn't make it or whatever. Sometimes that's the best thing that happened because they went up north and they put them in somewhere they had a training program to train them where WCW didn't have. Then good for them.
Hmm. So you started off working for Jody, and then you signed with WCW and
No,
made
I
your,
signed with NWA.
sorry, NWA.
Yeah,
And
NWA Crockett Promotions, that type deal was before WCW, and man, I had to earn my dues. Yeah. My first match was Iron Sheik, man, and he threw me out of the ring, hit me across the back with that damn pole. I had a bruise across my back for a while. So yeah, I earned my dues through the way, and then I earned respect from the guys, which earned later on proved its dividends down the road.
mhm. So how did you transition from the Indies there to the NWA JCP?
Well, I went in as Dwayne Bruce, the baby face. So that, well, you know what that means. So yeah, I went there, and then after a while, they they learned my respect for the business and who trained me, and who I was involved with. Ole and Jody and Nick. Nick's a big part of it. I don't want to leave him out. Uh, you know. With the psychology and the aspect of earning your right to be there. And after you do that, then eventually I was calling the match for the even with the top guys. So yeah.
In terms of your transition from your legal name to Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker, how did that come about?
Well, I will tell you a long story. Not a long story. I'm joking.
Good, I like
I'm gonna
long
tell you.
stories.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you. Actually, we was wrestling here for. I was Dwayne Bruce and Del Vizi was wrestling for Jody too. Actually, Bruce Hart called us and wanted a Southern Redneck team. Well, my mom was affiliated with the police, so that's where we everything was real. I mean, you couldn't do that now, but everything was real. The badges, everything. They told us where to go to get the badges and shirts, and then we had the gimmick made up, and we drove. They said, "Well, we're gonna send you an airline ticket," but we heard what was going on in the vans and stuff, so we necessarily didn't want to be involved with that. So we drove from Atlanta, Georgia, to Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Holy
Uh,
Toledo.
yeah, well, they say people pay their dues. I'm gonna tell you, I'm one that has. So, to hell with everybody else that say they didn't. But anyway, uh, went there, and Bruce Hart got his jaw broken by Davy Boy on the road. So we're dealing with Stu, right? So we go have one match, say blah blah blah, we went over whatever, and then went out, had another match, and they put the title belts on us, and went back to talk to Stu because that's the only one I had to talk to. He goes, "Well, it's not what you make, it's what you save." I was like, "Shit." we're gonna be broke in a week, because we went by, they didn't have our paperwork at the Canadian border, so we sat there for like 4 hours, going, "Holy shit!" Anyway, that's what everybody would be saying, right? Especially if they drove from Atlanta to Calgary. Uh, so we eventually got through, went by to see the dump they were gonna have us in, and checked out gas, checked out everything because everything is all involved, right? So we did that, and Stu told us it's not what you make, it's what you save, and they promised this much American, and then he said this much Canadian, which is by then it was like half or whatever. So we said, "Damn!" So we gave him the belts. We're supposed to be going to Edmonton. We went to Montana. So we called Stu from Montana and said, "Hey, we're not going to make it. Sorry, we apologize, but we're going to be broke." And so I went. We drove back. We drove up there, had 2 matches, and drove back in a week.
Wow.
So let everybody say they paid their dues. Shit. But anyway, that's just me. I mean, that's hard headed for me. That's just the way I was, the way I still am. But yeah, that's how we got started. That's how the State Patrol got started. We started using it at WCW, and it took off. Of course, it should have took off a lot more than they did, because Ole had fired a Samoan SWAT team and put us on with Steiners for a month on the road. At the end of it, I was wondering if it was a blessing or a curse. But we using our nightsticks to get the heat, behind the referee's back, and they took it, and we hit them because they're going to hit us. Shit, you might as well fight. And that's what we did. And then we earned respect more and more of the guys who went along. And then during Disney, my partner was driving from Albany to Atlanta. So it's quite a drive for him. But he got argument with Bischoff down at Disney. And I tried to help him, hey, cool it, we'll talk later. But he didn't have it, and that was it. Then I was wrestling by myself.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about your great tag team run and wrestling the who's who of NWA WCW at the time. But I noticed in '89 you wrestled Flair at Center Stage in Atlanta, and I wanted to ask you. I've talked to a lot of the veterans from WCW during the time frame about the atmosphere at Center Stage and their impression thereof. But how did that match come about as well, in addition to your comments on Center Stage generally?
Well, Center Stage is hard, man. It's one place. It's it's not a great big place. I mean, you can't tell it because all the curtains and shit that they got all darked out and stuff. You can't tell how big the place was. That's why they used it so much. But Center Stage is hard, man, because you might be on first and you might be on 22nd. You didn't know, and Flair, take it at face value, what is my worth with the company, what I'm doing now versus, what Flair's doing. But anyway, I had good matches with him. I ain't going to say great matches with him. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say good matches. But TV was different back then. TV was then presented to get one person over. So who's getting the rub is Flair. So a lot of them matches at Center Stage and shit was unfair because we didn't wrestle 50-50. We wrestled to get Flair over. So that's how the matches at Center Stage was. And like I said, you could be first and 25th. It didn't know, and you didn't know, until they put the board up. But I guarantee you, I sold out more tickets at the monitor than I did in the theater itself, because all the boys were watching to see what I did. So that's because I bucked the system some, But hey, you got to fight for what you believe in.
Some of the workers said that the crowd sometimes at Center Stage was difficult to work with because it was just a mixed bag. Was that your feelings too?
Exactly. I mean, you got these people sitting here watching so many matches, and you're not switching anybody in and out. It's hard to get somebody just in tune to what you're doing as far as if you're a tag match, what you're doing in a tag match, and yeah, it was hard. I mean, it was hard, you know, because if you don't rotate in like they did at Disney, they rotated people in and out, getting different crowds for different parts of the show, then yeah, you wear the people down, and it's hard to get a reaction unless you do something extraordinary to
Mhm.
get a reaction. But yeah, center stage is really hard, really
Mhm.
hard.
Mhm. So, as the state patrol, you guys worked, like I alluded to earlier, the creme de la creme of some really classic tag teams and memorable matches. I'm just gonna name a few of them and get your impressions of working with them, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Starting off with the Road Warriors.
Great guys. I love them guys. I miss them terribly. Great guys. Uh, only guys that may told me to hit them harder, but they were great guys. They protected us, so, you know, we weren't like ordinary whatever guys, we were something different in between. We were in between guys. So if that makes any sense.
Mhm,
Uh,
mhm,
so they treated us different, so yeah, I loved working with them guys. Steiners, I love working with them.
mhm, mhm. The Midnight Express.
Midnight Express, love working with them, no matter it was with the original Midnight Express or the second Midnight Express. I love Bobby Eaton, man. I always loved Bobby Eaton. I did video games with EA Sports in Vancouver, Canada. I took Bobby up with me because they were going to fire him. So I was like, that can't happen. He's a legend, So I took him up with me. I'll tell you a story. I'm getting off kilter here.
No, no,
Uh,
all good.
so we were up in the and there's all mocap work. So wrestling's different than sports because we touch each other so much. You know, uh, so sometimes I'd have to strip off the markers from me to get one action, and then get the reaction. Put the markers back on me, get the reaction from one move. So if we did it perfectly, there's actually four moves that are going to take place. So I had Bobby, and I said, Bobby, well, why don't you do the splash in the corner, stinger splash in the corner? Now, by then, he was too banged up to do anything like he used to off top rope and stuff. In fact, I was doing all that stuff then. Uh, so anyway, I had him run and do a finger splash on me, and he like ran into me and then jumped up. So the Velcro and everything scraped my face coming up. Man, we laughed about 45 minutes before we got that whole studio to calm down. He goes, "Hell, Sarge, I jumped high as I could." I said, "Hell, your feet never left the ground." So that's a Bobby. So in the rest of the time was for him just getting to see what's for lunch, and showing respect to Bobby. That's what that was about. But I love the Midnight Express. They're a great team. We had great matches with them.
Tremendous. Ole and Arn Anderson.
Yeah, we had matches with them. Some hard fought matches, because they're not going to let you take anything unless you take it yourself. So I say we had good matches with them, and stuff. But Ole was Ole, and you got to fight over Ole, or you got to, his brother, Gene. What a practical joker he was, man. He was something else. Loved to mess with me on the airplane. Great guy, great guy. And Arn was great to work with too. Arn, I can't say enough about him. He's a professional, totally a professional. Treated everybody with utmost respect. Uh, you know, eh, no matter what your role is at that point, he treated everybody with respect. Had some great matches with Arn. Singles and doubles and whatever. So yeah, great, great. I didn't complain. I was making money.
Good stuff. Harlem Heat.
Harlem Heat. Well, Harlem Heat come to me at the power plant when they first started, and uh, So anyway, they did something bad on TV and they got wiped off the deal, But uh, I worked with them in the power plant and stuff, and I love both of them guys, man. We love to have jokes in the ring. We lock up and say, I said, "You son of a bitch, you better bend your knees when you lock up with me." He started laughing. It was just, I mean, it wasn't a disrespect for the business, but it was respect for each other. And we had good matches with them and stuff, and nothing bad to say about anybody so far. No.
Rock and Roll Express.
Rock and roll, man. We had some great, I mean, matches, house matches that people never seen. Great matches with them. They're both. I talked to them the last convention I went to, but they're still going out there. So anyway, Robert and Ricky were just great to work with. Didn't mind you get your heat and didn't mind putting their body in your hands. And I didn't mind putting mine in their hands either. For them it was give and take 50-50. So so I have a lot of respect for both of them. Robert lives here in Douglasville, where I live at in Georgia. So yeah, but great guys, and I learned a lot, because when you first come in, like with Jody, I was married to somebody. I don't know if you heard that expression before,
Yes, sir.
but you were married to somebody to learn, and you only learn from people better than you. They were sending at one time some power plant guys up to some guys, you know, independent, whatever. You ain't learning nothing if you wrestling people better than you. That's how you learn. You don't learn wrestling people that know less than you. So
Mhm.
I never went. They wanted me to go. I never went because I was mad about the whole situation. So anyway, go ahead.
Lex Luger and Sting.
Uh, I didn't have any except for Lex towing me when he kicked me. you know, he told you every time, man. But them guys learn to give and take. I don't know if you saw the stuff with me and Bill building up to that. Uh, the only thing I didn't know is that I was supposed to turn heel. I didn't know that, and I was set up the ring that day, and I went to the gym, worked out, and came back. I had a migraine headache. After you get so many concussions, you go get them anyway. And I don't know. I said something like, Bill said something about, you gonna beat me tonight. I was like, hell, I don't want to beat you, but I didn't know what was going on. So anyway, that's all right. That would have been a lot for my career because there's very few people that beat Bill. So I hear that he's trying to do a retirement match now with
Mhm.
Sting. I heard Sting, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. You never know.
Apparently, in March, he's going to have his last match.
With Sting?
Well, Sting
Sting
is saying
involved?
he's going to have his last match in March.
Okay. Yeah, good. Sting's paid his dues. You don't need to do something way off the damn, like I saw the other night. I
Mm-hmm.
tape AEW. I don't watch it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I fast forward to what I want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
He don't need to take no damn bumps off the whatever. That's crazy. He's done earned enough respect from everybody to not be doing that shit. But I heard they got on him about that. But he's just wanting to do this, put his best foot forward. He wants to go out with a bang, just like us all. We want to go out with
Mm-hmm.
a bang. We don't want to think that we just weathered into never land, whatever. But we all do eventually.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken solace to my career and all that. So yeah, that's why it's an honor to be on here tonight with you.
Well, we appreciate it. Casey is Raw is asking who was the worst wrestler trained in the planet. That must cover some
Oh
ground.
my God. Okay, I'm gonna name a few people, just a few. Jim Steele, uh, uh, AJ Styles, John Swinger, Kevin Nash, Bill Goldberg, Dallas Page, Mac Tobert. Some of these you won't know. Asia, Daphne, Major Guns, Gorgeous George, Stacy Keebler. Uh, let's see, go over here. I got it printed off, but it's not printed off big enough for me to see. Tank Abbott, believe it or not. Bill Kazmaier. Brian Anderson, which was Ole's son. I trained him too. Unfortunately, he had a thing. Buff Bagwell, Luther Biggs, Scott Boy, Chad Brock, uh, Keith and Kent Cole, Bob Cook. I could keep on going. There's over 100 and something people, just male wise that I train, not counting what I train female wise. So I'm gonna
And
stop
this
there.
and
Kevin
this
Green,
this
Carl
fan
Malone.
was asking about who the worst
I
one was.
know. I'm trying to think, man. That's a hard question.
That is a hard question.
Who you gonna put there? I don't know. Uh, Probably some of the guys that probably didn't make it to about the middle of the card. Didn't make it to the big time. They made it to the middle of the card. I trained guys that made it like from the get go, and people that didn't make it to the middle, and then they got raised up, and like I say, Carl Malone I trained. It's a long going list, but I can't name a bad guy unless it was somebody that think they needed something more than they got. Then I would think that would be it.
One fella that was a little bit salty about you allegedly cutting him from the power plant, which we'll get to, is Big Dave Batista.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you something about Dave, and he always likes to knock me, okay? But I think he did pretty good for himself. WCW didn't have a training center. I mean, a actual working training place where you could take. I begged them for it. I begged them for it. Let me have it. Let me run it. Let me run these towns. Give me Brad Armstrong, Tim Horner. Give me a Hill. Give me whatever, and let me run it to teach these guys how to learn the business. But at that time, they didn't have a place for him to learn. He's a big 300-pound jacked up guy. I understand that, but uh, you know, I people don't understand. Every trial, I went home and had a list of names. I went the strong points, what the weak points were. I even analyzed everybody that went through the power plant. And at that time, they didn't have a place for him to go. So if he says I make him throw up, put a shirt on, I did. Uh, you know, I did. That's part of the training. I mean, he ain't the only one. I mean, the hell, there was them people every tryout. And I had people from the service, Marines, Navy, whatever. And said they would go through Marines training more than they would go through the power plant again. And that was on everything. I've been in Life magazine stuff, Maxim, A&E, I mean, all kinds of stuff that people don't even realize. Maybe they do. I don't know. But yeah, but I think I did him good, because he went to WWE. Vince had that plan, had sent him to Ohio Valley, let him fucking learn all his bullshit there, before he got to the bigger time. And now he's a movie star and everything else. So, you send me a check, Batista. You can send me
Well,
a check. You and Bill, everybody can send me a check.
well, you make a good point. He certainly isn't going to need any financial
No, and
assistance at
I'm
the
happy
time.
for him. Even
Yeah.
though he likes to go to that one point every time. Now I'm a Napoleon, fucking sawed off, whatever, son of a bitch, whatever. It don't matter. I mean, look at him now, and I'm proud of him. I really am.
You were in the ring with El Gigante several times. I was fascinated by him during his run, and I think we're aware of the backstory about how he was a basketball player, et cetera, et cetera. But can you talk about how difficult it was to work with such a huge and yet green man?
Oh man, it was tough, man, because every time Elegante got knocked off his feet in whatever basketball he's playing, European or whatever, he got hurt. So he's scared to take a bump. So uh I'm training him at a place that I trained at that had 16-foot rings, not 18-foot, 16-foot. So anyway, you want to learn a suplex, dude. Start with something else, Don't want, but at that point, they were trying to just get anything out of him to recoup their money, So anyway, he suplexed me one time, and my feet brushed the rafters as I went over, hit on the other side of the 16-foot ring. I was literally landing where the turnbuckles were at. So once he did it once, he wanted to do it 16 times, man. It was crazy. But I did it. I was sore for quite a while. I had a lot of matches with him. I mean, I had a lot of matches with people out of the power plant just because they think who's better than me to have the match with, so whatever. But had a lot of matches with him. He kind of liked to do them funny spots. I don't like to do funny spots, There's a time and place for it. Stone Cold picked his perfect moments. Everybody picked their perfect moments. Rock, everybody picked their perfect moments to have a funny moment. But anyway, that's how we got into WCW. And then I worked with him a bunch of house shows. We did some tags with some other people with Elegante, me and Dell and stuff did. So yeah, I mean, a lot of times they put me on TV with people that's out of power plant, and I lose to them, and really, they were just trying to get something out of them. So yeah.
And you're making them look good. Steve is asking, did Pistol Pez Watley ever try to dislocate or break your thumb with his handshake?
No, I knew better. I've done learned through the road, not who to trust, who not to trust, all that shit. So I wouldn't get in that handshake with him. He couldn't rib me, get me in that. But yeah, Pistol Pez was a hell of an athlete. He was down there. By then, he couldn't do all the squats and all the shit that I did with him. But he could motivate, yell at them, and when they come to interview time, he would kind of take over that part, because he's a veteran, and I hold a lot of respect for Pez, rest in peace. Um, uh, but yeah, he was at one time he's a hot person in Georgia, so and all over the Carolinas and all through the southern states and probably more than I even name it. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
too bad State Patrol never got to take on the Jive Tones, to my knowledge.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know their thinking. I lasted through committees from Ric Flair being the deal to having committees to Eric Bischoff to Bill Watts to on and on and on. So I guess I earned my place in time. So yeah.
I want to ask you about Bill Watts, but first, a fan on social media sent me a question wanting to get your memories of working on TV with the young Dustin Rhodes, and did you see that natural, no pun intended, skill and ability in him from the onset?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, first off, before we even got on TV, I wrestled house shows with him. People don't see that our dark matches, which is before Nitro, before Thunder, before whatever. Uh, and I mean, a lot of times Dusty announced them. So, uh, but yeah, he was. I mean, he was willing to learn. Man, he's like a sponge. I love them guys like a sponge. They take up anything you say. And yeah, I beat his ass on house shows and stuff. Yeah, that's how you get heat, man. You gotta let me get my heat. And that as well as the comeback. Because if you do the heat as well as the comeback, the people stand on their feet wanting to see him kick your ass. So yeah, Dustin had the deal, man. He had the deal. I know of Cody. I know he knows of me. I didn't get to wrestle him or nothing like that. I did Dustin so many times. Is unbelievable. Especially when Kevin Sullivan was running things and stuff. He wanted uh, he wanted good matches no matter what. And I wrestled a bunch of Mexican guys where Codan didn't show up, and they sent in word to the office. Well, we'd rather wrestle Buddy Lee than wrestle Conan because
Mhm.
much easier. You know,
Mhm.
uh, there's no structure value in Conan wrestling psychosis or you know me. I'm even with them, so I'm not one to look at them like I'm above them. So
Mhm.
that's why I had great matches with them. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I had a great run. I still got more to offer. I'm actually doing a training session coming up here in Atlanta with a bunch of guys. It's not going to be a wrestling event. It's going to be a training session. It's not going to be squats. I can tell you how to do them. I can't do them now. My knees are too gone. I have to wear knee braces every day.
Mhm.
Uh, but uh, but I'm going to show you every kind of way I can to how to get there. And nowadays it's hard because I mean you got what two places and a bunch of indies, and if you're lucky, you get Japan. Stan Hansen got me and Dell in Japan. We were called the state police for All Japan Wrestling. We loved it.
Mhm.
Too bad it got killed by somebody that wanted me back here at the power plant. So anyway, that happened, and what am I to say now? You know,
You touched on working under Bill Watts during his controversial era in WCW. Were you a fan of his management there, and how did you feel about some of the more criticized aspects of his reign, such as the top rope moratorium and removing the mats, etc., around
well,
ringside?
I kind of agree with moving the mats. Because I've taken a bunch of bumps with them not there. And honestly, did with Jody. But I've taken bumps with the mats there too. But uh, you know, I was a kind of a fan and kind of not. It's in between because he was so old school that he would think that holes would get you through everything. Uh, and I'm not downing him. I'm not downing him whatsoever. He's long been wrestled and did everything that I could do. But and I trained his son.
Eric, yeah.
Derek. And then I had a bunch of dark matches with him all over the place before he ever got on TV. But but then I only had a certain amount of time to train him. That's some things people don't realize that I may have a timetable to reach uh, Bill, Kevin Nash, Dallas Page, on and on that I got to reach to get them there. And some might not be the best gimmicks they gave them to start with, but eventually it's going to wind itself back down and around. Eventually, all of wrestling winds itself back around and down. Eventually, this is going to be. I don't say the '80s could buy everything that you could do, but I think if you started with the '80s and build up, I think you could still get people to buy in. They want to cheer. They want to, uh, they want to cheer for the babyface. They want to boo the heel. They want to, be involved. So I do watch AEW. I don't watch as much events. I take both of them. I delete everything I don't want to watch. I fast forward it, because Rainier Danielson is probably one of the better guys that I've seen on TV in a long time because he's different.
Hmm.
That's what made Steve Regal different. That's what
Hmm.
made, all them guys different, But I don't think blood should get in every match.
Hmm.
uh, Used to that if you were on, excuse me, I knocked myself out. uh, Used to if you were first matching on, you save shit for the main event. You know what I mean? You didn't go
Hmm.
outside the ring. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. You're saving it for whatever the main event is.
Hmm.
So 10 planchas on the outside, I don't agree with. I mean, one maybe, if you could do it honestly without looking like you're all gathering up to catch the guy, you know, I I personally think that's okay. But if you do it so many times and so many matches, then it just comes ordinary. It don't come
Hmm.
extraordinary. I want extraordinary. I don't want
Hmm.
ordinary. I never wanted ordinary. When I was wrestling, when I was training, ordinary is just ordinary. I want
Mm-hmm.
people that's going to reach beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why the power plant was so tough. And
Well,
yeah, I did a lot of the same shit that I showed everybody else. I did, and I paid Joey, the same amount of money we charged at the power plant at that
mhm,
time to wrestle on the independent circuit. So,
mhm,
and and I was working a construction job, uh, uh, during my lunch break and shit. I was doing squats. you know, I was wrestling, training 3 nights a week at Jody's school, and then wrestling on the weekends and shit. So there ain't nobody could say they did more than I did, but that don't care. That don't matter. It's just what you believe in yourself, what you can make the best of it, the particular time, of what you're doing, and make the best of it. So yeah, I'm sorry.
well,
I ran
speaking no
on.
no speaking of extraordinary, you were a member of the famous now stable, the Dungeon of
Dungeon
Doom,
of Doom. I
and you
still
were
got.
given Braun the leprechaun gimmick. How did that whole thing come together that
Well,
fans?
that came together. Chad Brock was a country music singer. That's where I think I got heat with Bischoff. But anyway, he was trying to make that bridge from country music singer to wrestling. Man, I snapped. I'm gonna tell you, we was down at Disney. I just got tired of putting people over. I just snapped. I just beat the shit out of him. One thing he got was a small package. I beat the shit through as he's trying to slide out the ropes. Even he ain't mad if you went through the curtain. And then Jimmy Hart and Kevin Sullivan thought of the Braun the Leprechaun. And, I think it was too close to whatever the movie deal was, my outfit and,
Mhm,
everything. They sent off for teeth. I mean, gosh, they put a lot into it. And there's nothing like going out and wrestle at Sturgis and being the Braun the Leprechaun, is there? Uh huh. You think you're gonna get heat? I just beat the shit out of somebody. They cheered me. I was like, all right. I
that's
thought I was
tremendous.
getting mauled. I really did. I really did. I thought I was going to get killed. But
No doubt.
they love when you beat the shit out of somebody. So anyway, that was my deal then. And I'm proud of it. I still got all my gimmicks hanging up in my closet in there in the bedroom. Uh, well, probably not in the bedroom now. It's slid to the office. so, wife's got to have her spot. So anyway, uh, yeah, I was proud. I gave it my all. It had to be in cardio shape, man, to do that. You run around the ring, run in the ring, beat the shit out of somebody, run around the ring, blah 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 blah, chasing Jimmy.
Hmm.
But I think it was a good gimmick. It's just bad timing. And then when I did Jack Boot, that's when Waco happened. so
Yeah.
I've had a lot of bad luck going through, gimmicks. So then I was finally just Sarge. Shit, hell with it. I'll just be Sarge. I actually went to Hogan one time and said, Hogan, I need some ideas to change my gimmick, do something. I need something to kickstart something. He goes, why? You're the fucking Sarge. I went, well, damn, I'm asking for your advice, please. But they ended about that. So, yeah. But that's when he's going in the Georgia Dome and stuff, wrestling Bill, so, which they should have sold it as a pay per view, but
Oh, yeah,
they
for
gave it
sure.
away. They gave it
For
away.
For sure, unbelievable. You touched earlier on Bischoff and your relationship with him. How would you characterize that overall?
Overall, I've seen him since, and he's wished me all the best luck in the world, and I wish him the best too. I know he's involved in a lot of things. Um, uh, but my relationship was good because hell, I trained his top star. I mean, what are you gonna down me for if I trained your top star? I actually come up with the jackhammer. He come up with a spear. Bill come up with a spear. I come up with a jackhammer, and probably 60% of his other moves. And so with Dallas, and Kevin, I don't think he had but 6, 7 moves. But sorry that sorry
Pretty,
about that.
pretty, pretty close.
Yeah.
We have the cooker Bob Cook watching tonight, and he says hello. I know you've tagged with him and
Yes.
worked him as well. Great guy.
Yeah, great guy. Great guy. Good worker. So one of
Yes,
the best punches I ever seen. Thanks to Bobby Eaton. Him,
yes,
Bobby Eaton's close together.
absolutely. How did you? We've been talking around the power plant a lot, but how did you make the? How were you tapped for that role when you were still wrestling full time to do that transition?
Well, you know what? I just kind of took it. Uh, I'll be honest. I'm being honest with you. I just kind of took it, man. Nobody appointed me to that position. Nobody ever said, "Hey, Sarge, you're going to be the head trainer of the power plant." Nobody ever said that. I just took it, man. I mean, Jody trained me well, man. If I see an opening, I'm going to take it, And I saw opening, I took it, man. I just took it. I didn't. Nobody Bischoff didn't appoint me there. Nobody appointed me there. I mean, before him, it was Oli and different other people, So, uh, yeah. That's hard to say, that nobody ever appointed me to that position, but that is true. Nobody ever appointed me. I just took it. I
Hmm.
just took it and ran with it. You know,
Were you given any parameters to work with, or did you just make it your own?
I just made it my own, man. I just figured if the shit worked for me, and I'm 5'9", well, then I was 230. But if I can take it, everybody can take it. Yes, I warn people before they come down. You call me and ask me what we're going to do, and I told you everything we're going to do, 3,000 squats, or whatever it's going to be. Sometimes it wasn't that much, sometimes it was, but it depends on the people. You know, but if I told you everything that's going to happen at the power plant and you didn't come in shape, shame on you, man. That's a shame on me. That's shame on you.
Hmm.
And some of them people fell out from that, and like I said, I've had people from, I mean, all aspects of the service come to me, and they said they'd rather do uh, their training than do my training again for another 3 days. So, which ain't, that's not something to brag on, but it's just something to you look at and you say, okay, that's why it happened. So, and you got to learn to respect the business. See that at this point, when you're training, you got to respect the wrestling business. I believe you got to respect it, eat it, drink it, live it the whole way, all the way. If you're honest and being honest with yourself, if you don't give it that, hell with you. I mean, that's your fucking fault. You didn't take the advantage of me telling you everything we're going to do. You come down for a tryout and boom, 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 and you just wash out. Man, I don't hold any sympathy for them guys, man. I've had people actually come up to me when I was started a different job and say, hey, oh, hey, Sarge, I just want to thank you for running me off. That's the best thing that ever done to me. I went, holy shit. First few times it threw me off guard, I didn't know whether to draw back or whatever, but it's actually happened to me. Yeah, quite a few times, actually.
Well,
So,
it's there. There's also an argument that can be made that those methods. Look at who was produced out of the power plant and those old school methods compared to our system today, which it's arguable that there's any real stars being produced out of developmental down there.
well, I'm not going to talk about their system. That's their system. I at one time Vince wanted me to do that, but that's when he was doing that tough enough shit. So I'm not into that comedic fucking shoot silly string at people. I'm not that. I'm here for training. I'm here to be serious. I'm here to train you serious. If you're serious, I'm the one for you. You know. Uh, uh, I was in the hospital. Sonny Ono called me. He's a great friend of mine, man. A huge, great guy. Great guy. And you know him?
Yes,
You
sir.
know
I've
Sonny,
interviewed him a
right?
couple of times. Yeah,
He's
for
a
sure.
great guy. Great guy. I actually got sick and I had to go in the hospital. I lost 60 pounds real quick with no reason. So they're trying to figure out what's going on with me and stuff. And Sonny called me and said AEW is looking for a trainer, and I said, man, right now I can't do it. I just can't do it. But then I heard they went through a couple people. I don't know who's doing it now. I saw Billy Gunn at one time. I don't know. I don't know if you know. You probably know better than me.
They're in flux
That's
right
my
now.
grandson.
Oh, hey, man.
Quit wiggling your head around. Get in the. Okay. Just be shy then. You ain't shy in your whole body. But yeah, some people might say I took it too serious, but it's a serious deal. If you're trying to make that your living, you deserve, you know, you deserve the best. And I will argue with anybody that for any training center come up with as many people as I went through, because I got 5 pages right now I could go through that I printed out 5 pages because I was trying to be ready for this interview, and there's 5 pages of people that I
Wow.
trained. I dare anybody. God bless Stu. And God bless all that. I told you I went up there for him, but yeah, I'm not tooting my own horn, but I am.
Well, you've earned the right to do so. You mentioned that you trained Goldberg and taught him and had his first dark match on Nitro. When you were going through this process with him, did you
I had many
realize?
dark matches with him before he went to Nitro.
Yeah,
They say
absolutely.
that's the first match, but it's actually not. But
Okay,
that's
cool.
okay.
Did you know that you had such a phenomenon on your hands at the time?
Believe it or not, Bill did squats, man. I don't. People think he didn't do nothing. He didn't walk in and just get, hey, you got a scholarship, just here, go ahead. I had to test him, man, but you got a guy that went through Georgia Bulldog training and all that shit, and Georgia Sun and all that shit and other stuff. What made him unique is the MAA background. That's what made him unique. And and then of course Dallas told him when he shaved his head he made a mistake because that was Stone Cold's deal, but turned out to pay off. But Dallas, I mean, Bill went through the stuff too, and maybe not 3,000 squats worth because after a while I saw what a phenomenal athlete he was because I tested him, man. I had one time I had him back me in the corner. I'd do a Cornish hike on him and push him. He'd do a back handspring and spear me coming out of the corner. I knew he'd never do it, but I had him do it in dart matches. Why? I was trying to sell him to Eric Bischoff, trying to sell him to the monitor. You know, the fans are great. I love the fans, but at that point in the position I was in, I really wasn't selling him to the fans. I was trying to sell him to the monitor and sell him to Eric Bischoff. And okay, we're going to put this much money into this guy, spend this
Mm.
much money into this guy. We're going to take good care of him, and that's what happened, and so God bless him. I don't ill fear anybody that made money in the business. I I made I didn't make Sting money. No, I didn't. But I was involved in so many things. People don't realize I built rings. I sent people out to the ring. I wrestled. I drove a truck. I rang the bell. I was a one man show there at one time. And anybody that didn't show up at house matches, I was fill in. So yeah, I made decent money. And I'm proud of it. I'm happy about it. Uh, I'll tell you a funny story. When we were down during the Olympics down at Disney World, and we were down there for like 6 weeks, I took my only son then was Steven. He got ADHD and a speech delay, got some autism going on. But man, I got to take him down, and we got to go in the entrance where all the workers went in. We didn't go in the regular whatever entrance. So my wife would take my son and go to Disney World all day long, and then maybe come back and see a match, then go back to the pool, and stuff. So, and all my sons got to see some aspect to that. My youngest son, not so much when I used to do stuff for people that had cancer and different other stuff, raise money and stuff, and get sponsors and different stuff. My youngest son goes, Dad, that's the first time I've seen you wrestle live. I went, holy shit, he's right. So I'm glad everybody got to see me. Tell you a funny story. Uh, One time they showed the Giant, Big Show, whatever. I trained him. Anyway, he choke slammed Bill Goldberg, and they went off the air. What they didn't see was Bill set up, running spear him, and then jackhammer him. So the next day, I had to call Bill. Bill, you got to talk to my son, you know. And he talked to my son, told him he's cool, he was all right, didn't get hurt, whatever. And then Canuck Place up in Vancouver, Canucks hockey team used to sponsor a deal with. Well, I think they still do. Sponsor a house for people who got cancer, kids, and all that stuff. And I had went up there one time and I saw him and met him, and he's a huge Bill Goldberg fan. So the next time I went up, I loaded everything. I had a second suitcase, had all gimmicks in it, man. T-shirts, bandanas, I mean everything, a little fake belt or whatever. And I got him dressed up all, and then I called Bill, and Bill talked to him. He had the big smile on his face, and the next time we went, he had passed away. So that was one of the best things that I've ever done, that when you could give back to people and they appreciate it. And then you understand, that next time you went back that they're no longer there, it really hits hard to your heart. It makes you feel good, man. I like to feel good just like everybody else. I'm going to be a hard ass, but, down to it, I'm really an okay guy. So don't ask my wife, but we'll see.
That's the consensus. I've got a couple of fans, including Jake Walker, asking about your thoughts on Louis Theroux, the UK journalist who came to the Powerplant to film for the BBC in England.
Okay, let me get the story straight for y'all. Okay, the guy over that type of stuff. I've been on the road, drove from New York to Virginia, drove all the way to Miami, Florida, set up a ring and wrestle, and they got this guy Lewis gonna come down and see me and all this stuff. Come see me at the thing and started drilling me about whether it was real or not. I was like, dude, you come into the power plant, I'll show you what's real. Didn't do anything to him that I ever didn't do to anybody else, all through the program. But he was going to see some damn independent groups that was doing barbed wire matches, bombs explode, the crazy shit. So anyway, he come down to the power plant. I put him through his paces. I had the guys go off on him, and I had to do the dying cockroach deal, which I did about every damn tryout we had, where he got down on the hands and knees and say, sir, I'm a dying cockroach, sir, move your arms and legs and wipe up your throw up, and then I cuss you out for doing it. That was part of the program. That sounds harsh to people, I know, but I did it to him. But there again, he was actually putting us less important than the independent guys he was going to see doing barbed wire matches, barbed wire around chairs. I mean, the crazy shit where they wrestled at, they worked at Texaco, and they wrestled on the weekends, and they gaff themselves and bleed all over everywhere, but it was like a training deal for me, man. I was like, well, I'm going to show him what's real and what's not real, so that's what happened with Lewis. So.
Well, you've been extremely generous with your time tonight, and we really appreciate it. But if you could summarize the one aspect, if that's possible, and I know it's hard to delineate things down. As you said, you've done everything in the wrestling business. You're known worldwide. Fans still remember your work vividly. What is the aspect that you're most proud of?
Probably the aspect is not necessarily my wrestling, but my training. Who I've trained, who made it, who didn't make it. versus where they made it for a while and didn't make it. That's going to air his head down the road. But I'm most proudly about training people that I trained and helping people. Hell, Bill Goldberg millions of dollars, man. I mean, millions. Not counting what WWE paid him, But uh, and I'm not going to talk about Bruce Hart. I mean, Bret Hart, but because he blamed me for getting kicked by Bill. I'm like, damn, you're from the dungeon. This guy's 289 pounds, getting the biggest push that anybody ever got over Hulk Hogan because nobody's done that damn fire and brimstone and all that bullshit. I don't say bullshit, but
That's fine.
you don't know to get your hand up. That's your fault, man. I mean, really. I taught them to get his hand up, and other people get their hand up. When you don't try exactly trust somebody, you swing it through, nobody sees it, but you're protecting yourself.
So Brett blamed you for that career-ending
For
kick. I
that
never heard that
career-ending
before.
kick, yes, he did, and he's
Wow.
done it openly on every podcast you can mention. I'm sorry I even mention it here, but because it's neither here or there, because he still wrestled after that. And I think when he got him in the figure four on the post, you remember that?
Yep.
I think he hit his head on the concrete. If you look at it closely, he hit his head on the concrete before the kick. So I think he was already concussed before he got kicked. So that's the reason he got his hand up. But
Mhm.
I don't blame Brett. I mean, shit, he was an icon. He's an icon, man. Made millions of dollars with both companies. Um, Ted Holman made millions of dollars. So, which a bunch of them did. When we got bought out. Uh, I didn't go to Panama City. I didn't feel like it was my place. Even go down there. But anyway, that's here and now. So
So Sarge, where can the fans find you on social media? And what you talked about, you've got an upcoming seminar. Do you have anything else that the fans need to know?
well, I'm holding seminars all over the place. I'm going to one in Arkansas, and then I got one here where I'm renting the building, putting the ring in, uh, different sponsors, but it's all about training. You need to do these squats, you need to do this, that, and the other, get in shape. But this is what you do in the ring. It's more about what you do in the ring, not what I did at the power plant. Well, what I did at the power plant, but not the physical standpoint. I'll tell you what you need to do. I'll direct you on what you need to do, but I'm going to teach you about the ring. I'm going to teach you what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. That's what these training sessions are for. And I'm proud it's really going good. It looks like it's going good. So I look forward to coming to different places, and then I'm gonna have a bunch here around Atlanta. That people from Alabama, the Carolinas, Florida, whatever, could come to without too difficult of a drive or whatever. And then there's some I'm flying into to do it, using their ring and stuff. So yeah, I'm trying to give back a little bit. Uh, yeah, I'm making a little bit of money, but I'm not making as much as I'm trying to give back. So I have a great job. I got a great wife, three great kids. So I'm not hurting by no means. There's a lot of people out there hurting. In fact, the military. That's why I want to do it at the armories, is because it's going to be sponsored by the military. Uh, just to get people's enthusiasm of what's going on in the Middle East is crazy.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, uh, Not that I'm doing anything for Uncle Sam, I'm not, but I just want to bring them to the forefront of people. I'm hearing they bring back the draft, so I don't know if that's true or not, but I just think the Lord and USA's gave me enough to earn a living and earn a decent living and give a lot of people uh, a chance to make a lot of money. Uh, and most everybody that I trained, they had to earn it. It wasn't just a give me deal. I don't know what's going down in Florida. I don't know. Uh, but I don't think it should be a give me. It shouldn't be okay. You're under contract. It should be you got to do this for a certain amount of time, then you may go under contract. I don't know what they're doing with what's her name that left AEW, Jay Cargill.
Oh,
But
Jade Cargill. Yep.
yeah, I don't know what they're doing with her, but they got extremely opportunity to put her with a lot of great people. They have her trained to get to the level of WWE's women's deal, and she's going to be a great draw. You know, uh, I'm sure she's making a lot at AEW. I don't hold AEW less than AEW. I mean WWE. I don't hold them less. I just know certain matches I like to watch, and certain matches that I think will draw money, and certain matches it wouldn't. So my deal is now just sit in the background and try to run training centers to teach people that's honestly wanting to learn. That's honestly, this guy called me from Mississippi, said, I'm the biggest thing south of Mississippi thing. I was like, okay, what does that mean? You know, that don't mean nothing. I mean, you're the biggest, greatest guy thing in your town. Great. That's wonderful. But, I'm not downing them either. They're just trying to whatever, but I really want people to use what I show them. I mean, I did several training sessions before this. It was before I went to different venues with people that run in that night and ran a training session 3 hours before the matches. And people, and then what I would do was I'd go ask them, okay, what do you think? Okay, I don't want to know everything you're going to do. I don't want you to plan out everything. I don't want you to do that way. I want you to call it in the ring because that's when the best shit happens. Is when you call it in the ring. A lot of times we just got our finish, man. We called everything else in the ring. Same in Japan, But, uh, but I think I'm getting off kilter here, I guess. So, what was the
No,
question again?
uh, I think we'll get your social media contacts, but before that, Jeff Farmer says
Yeah,
hi, and I had the pleasure of interviewing him a couple of weeks ago
I
too.
trained Jeff. He was the NWO Sting.
Yes.
He wrestled in tag team before that. He trained at the Powerplant. Very good guy. Wanted to learn the business. Didn't balk about anything. He just did what he was told to do and did it well. And he earned the spot he got into, and I'm proud of him. I'm really proud of
And
him.
tonight we have a last question from a funny fella here, Ditka89, who's asking what city had the best ring rats.
I don't know, dude. I didn't go into that scene. I was married. My deal was to get home every night, and a lot of places when we ran here around Atlanta and I was doing the ring or whatever, like in Rome, Columbus, Savannah, whatever, I would, the ring guy would go down before me and stay in a hotel. I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning and drove down, set up the ring, tore it down, wrestled 2 or 3 times, tore it down, and went back home, and that was always my goal was to get back home to my kids and my wife, so I didn't venture on the ring rat stuff. But I'll tell you what, it is amazing what they do. Some of them do. Because I tell you what, I'd be in Oklahoma somewhere and everywhere we had to drive because it was under 300 miles and then flying to Boston and they would beat us there and no itinerary. I'm like, what the hell, But whatever they do, whatever everybody else does, that's their own accord. But I did what I had to do to make money. I did taught as many people as I could teach, uh, and I just did my deal, man. And I earned, eventually I just earned the respect of everybody. Even when I was going wrestling and with more upper name guys, I mean, I was calling a match for them inside the ring, But and always a big thing is, oh, did you see my mouth move, or did you see this move, and it's how you hide it and what you don't, and it's a lost art, man.
Mhm.
I've seen a bunch of times they're talking and right on TV, and it's like wow,
Yeah.
but that is okay. That's today's standards, I guess. But I think I think overall, everybody I train earned their spot, earned their deal and made the best of it, what they could make the best of.
So, do you have any social media, Sarge, that the fans can
Well,
follow you on?
well, I'm setting up that now. Sarge, SARGE at 7381 at gmail.com. You can get a hold of me that way, and then we'll go from there. I'll have a website up next week. By next week, I'm surprised I didn't do this long before, but I'll have the website and everything later to be set up. But if they want to contact me, that's how they can contact me.
Well, we really appreciate your time. We'll stay in touch and we'll keep the fans aware when your site goes live. And I want to thank you personally for your time tonight. Really look forward to this one, and it certainly didn't disappoint. So thanks again, Sarge.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thanks to everybody watching. Keep watching.
Fans, that's it for this edition of the Great North Wrestling Podcast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe and hit the notifications button for thehannibaltv.com, and you'll never miss a great interview like this one. Until next time, take care, everybody.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any